Hey, Southern Latitudes family. I hope you guys are well and that you have or are having a wonderful New Year's Eve and that you're going to have a great, time with friends, family, whatever you do. I'm just going to probably be watching a little TV marathon and eating some junk food, right? That's part of the deal. Little This is the night you don't eat real dinner or healthy or anything. You just have crackers, and I can't have cheese, but my husband will have cheese and maybe some olives and pickles, whatever, that it's fun. And especially my kid always wants the cheese in the can on the crackers, right? You guys do that too? That's a pretty fun thing to do on New Year's Eve. But anyhow, I thought it'd be a fun thing to do today. Jack is off doing his own thing. And I'm like, let's do a year in review. So in 2019, it was our first year actually planting on the side lot over here. So 2020, it was the year to say, let's really go for this full time. Okay, we kind of have an idea of, I had experimented with a lot of stuff, and we had some established places for gardens, and I was like, let's go full force. We made a nice big seed order and we went for it. So to start off January of 2020, we had wonderful cauliflower and broccoli and cabbages growing everywhere in the yard, in different locations. And it was fantastic. It was probably the best year we've ever had for that. That was wonderful. We really didn't even get tired of eating cauliflower or cabbages. We had cabbages out the ears. We were giving cabbages away. But so then I learned about harvesting amaranth, and that was my first year for that. And the seeds started dropping, and so I thought I better go ahead and collect all this up. And I still have amaranth seeds over here, so I didn't really grow too much this fall and summer. So it was I didn't use a lot of seed. I tried some, but I didn't do it like full force. So I had I have notes here. I had what was the mystery pumpkin that started behind on the fence line. It was a volunteer from a bird, and it grew like 80 feet down the fence line. And it produced about 17 mystery pumpkins. But we now know that they're probably some sort of a buttercup winter squash hybrid. We tried those. They were absolutely delicious. We ate some of those. We gave away a handful at least of those also. So that was wonderful. What else? Oh, we put in the rainbow garden, and that is always really good. Somebody's at my house. Wait just a minute. About that, they did stop at my driveway, but they were for my neighbor. It was FedEx. But in an unusual truck, not the normal truck. So to continue on with January, I will say that we were harvesting grapefruit. We harvested cannellini beans. That was really nice up there in the front. I had wonderful dill. I had huge dill. In fact, we froze back lots of dill for when we finally made pickles in, I think, March or April. So April for sure. Let's see, what else did we do? Oh, okay, so we got to borrow a trailer from my neighbor. He has a dump trailer that goes up, and it's got hydraulics in it, and he has loaned it to us whenever we need it. So we went out, we bought chips, we made a little trail, and then we went out and got compost and dropped it so that whenever I needed it, it was there. And that was fantastic. So that's what we did in January. In February, we had way more cabbages and composting continuously throughout the month. We started seeds for some of the spring stuff, like tomatoes and peppers, and whatever was going to go in the salsa garden. That was great. Things that take a while, so February's not too bad. And we have kind of a greenhouse thing going on inside my she shed. So that was fabulous. Let's see what else we did. We transplanted some of the cold weather stuff in the various gardens. That was good. Seminole Pumpkin Corner was created in February of 2020, and that was all cleared out. It was really nice. I put in probably 4 babies in there, transplanted, and by March, they really had taken over and we're starting to spread. And they were established, and next thing I know, we're growing Seminole pumpkins for the very first time. Let's see, what else? Oh, I had a beeswax experiment, and I thought that might attract the bees to the fruit trees and the blooms on them, but in the end, it really did not do that. And so I was, I learned something, but a little bit disappointed, because I have actually seen bees come to hot wax, and be attracted to it, but they were not attracted to the cold wax candles. Oh, we had atomic grapes out the wazoo. They were in the salsa garden. They were fabulous. I just honestly, just my personal opinion, I didn't find them to be so fabulous that I wanted to grow them again. Okay, Brad's atomic grapes just didn't do it for me. They were beautiful. They were plentiful, very productive. I thought the flavor was okay, but I thought, to me personally, the bugs around here, I don't know if it's just my area or what, but they were very susceptible to bugs. Here, the red spider mites just webbed over them like crazy. So I ended up not eating a lot. They did split when the rains came in March. Just didn't work. I think heirlooms in general do not work for my area. Yeah, we can do them in the winter, but I'm only getting a few here and there on a plant, like Dr. Wychees. Okay, we started those in March. I got the blooms going and everything, and a month later, I might have been eating, I think I had a video out on it where I was doing a taste test of Dr. Wychee video, or witchy, however you want to say it. And those were good, but honestly, the production was so low on them, I couldn't justify the space, and they took forever. And I had to use the blossom spray, so it just didn't work for us. And maybe my goal, I should establish that first, is we really want to can and put up food, and we want to eat fresh food. And I did experiment a lot, but if the experiments just are not worth it, they don't come back. I just don't grow them again. So let's see what else happened. In March, early March, we had weird corn. I had half and half, so pollination, but I had a weird corn where the kernels were growing on the outside of the ear husk, if you will. It's just very strange, and I had found out that the other people had experienced the very same thing, so that was cool. I bought my Barbados cherry tree in March, and then in April we put it in the ground. That was a lot of fun. The pineapple started to come up in March. Yay! Let's see, I put tomatoes in. We had wonderful eggplant by March. Sometimes I had like 10 of them going at one time. That was fantastic. If you don't know this already, I'm thinking that eggplants are heavy feeders, because they do the best around here when I have fresh compost down. They didn't really and they love full sun. They did not like it when I fertilized by granules. They just really love the fresh manure type of situation, or compost, mushroom compost. Let's see, what else we transplanted all the tomatoes out here, and I did a lot of that work all by myself in the salsa garden. It was fun though, and we got a nice video out of it. So April, we moved more mulch. We went to Deerfield Park, I think that's the name of it, Deer Park. Okay, my notes say Deer Park, Florida, for the peaches, and actual Florida peaches. It's a different variety, and they're a little bit smaller, but very plentiful. They were just as delicious. And Jack and I had a great date down there. It was right after COVID had hit, and it was a great outdoor thing that we could do together. And we put up peaches. We ate peaches. It was good. It was a lot of fun. So what else did we do? In April, the squash came. That was fabulous. We had the Benning's green tint. We had yellow scalloped edge patty pans. We had everything. A little bit of zephyr squash. I had some fails. I just don't do good with the rondo squash, and I'm trying to think what the other caserta squash is, what is the green one. Also in April, I addressed my blueberry garden. The original plants, they were sort of a high bush. I put in 6 of them, just were not working. I went ahead and bought some emerald ones, which are shorter, and we cleaned and we weeded that out. I put some defined borders on it, not permanent, but things that would work for this spring. We got a few blueberries, not the best, but that's okay. I think this will be the year we actually get a lot of fruit around the whole yard. I'm a suburban gardener, not really a farm, but we're on a half acre in Central Florida, and these trees are now through their first 2 years, and this is the spring of the 3rd year of their ages, and we should start seeing quite a bit of fruit, and I'm looking for it out there on those blueberries especially. So what else is next? Oh, canning, that's right. So I don't know if you know this, but when the world shut down, like March 17th, all these South Florida growers were left with surplus. There was no schools, there was no restaurants open, no children to eat the food, so they had this huge amount of surplus. So all of a sudden, Facebook became a hub for people to say, I have excess, I have this, I have that. And food was being sold for pennies on the dollar. And so we have my good friends, they went and they made a couple trips. They came back with cases of food for me, like $12, $15 tops of cases of beans, onions, cucumbers, tomatoes. Oh, I can't even think of everything. Brussels sprouts. Anyhow, tons of food. And I pretty much canned all of April. And I know Mary Lee did too, right? And probably into May, excuse me. Let's see. And then I had my own Brussels sprouts harvest going on as well. Let me pull that down. It's hard for me to read from there anyhow. And that was my first really good Brussels sprouts harvest. And we got, 2 or 3 gallons worth of Brussels sprouts. That was awesome. So let's see. April 17th, my chicks were born. That was wonderful. What a gift. After having lots of old girls, and then we had a terrible fall of losing 2 of our hens to predators, and then we lost a 3rd one, just died in her sleep. And so to have all these chicks in April was fantastic, and May and June trying to raise them up and get them to where they could join the flock and not cut through the little fences. That was just a great time. Especially when you're quarantined and you're isolating, it was really nice to come out and see those little babies all through that time of year. May, wow, we got another rack of bananas. We had rat issues because they were eating all the little baby stuff out in the garden. So we had a group that actually is a ratter group, and they came out and they hunted the rats for us in our shed. We had quite a problem in the shed, and then we had some in the coop. And then what surprised me is I don't have any palm trees left in my yard, but my neighbors have palms and oaks, and they were tracking them coming down from their trees over into our yard for the corn. And so I can't even remember the numbers, a dozen dead that we found, and then I know there was others that we did find later, like carcasses. So that was well worth it. That was a nice group of nice men that came out. They came to my house and to some other friends' houses too. In May, we had sugar baby watermelons. That was wonderful. We, my first personal size watermelons, we got to eat 2 of them. And I need to learn how to do watermelon better this year. That's one of my goals. We had tomatoes, not as great as 2019, but we had some tomatoes because, like I said, I experimented with the heirlooms. That just didn't pan out to more tomatoes. What we did know and grow good was, was good as normal. That didn't make sense. I'm distracted. There's a bee in here. Do you hear that? There's definitely bees in here. In May, we also put a lot of the fruit trees that were still hanging around. We'd bought some here and there, and Jack had some furlough time. We finally got lots of fruit trees in the ground. Once he went back to work in May. I'm getting my months all confused. I mulched and fertilized everything before we went really hard into the rainy season. And so that was an excellent thing to do. In June, we harvested food every couple of days. I had a new bean out there called a winged bean I got to experiment with. They're actually pretty good. I like them smaller, but they grow pretty well in our heat in Florida, so that was nice to know. I got lots of seeds. We're going to probably put out a whole bunch more. Give them something better to trellis up on this year than what I had last year. They weren't in the sunniest place, and I think I'm going to move them to a place more sunny this year. And June, we also had the roosters. Of all those baby chicks we had, I ended up with a lot of roosters, and so we were very successful in finding a good many of them homes. Some people took multiple roosters back to their homes, and I was really happy for that. So some went into breeding programs, some just went into small farm situations. I thought one for sure was going into the soup pot, but David Lee Broth. He was quite the character. He was a great little rooster. We thought he was a hen for the longest time because he was so friendly. And he would come up on my shoulder or my head. I photographed. He would get on the camera. As soon as you walk in the coop, he was flying right to you. He was very friendly. And so when we sold our boat, the people also saw him, and I'm like, "Do you want a rooster?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're from Trinidad and Tobago area, and I thought for sure he's going to be food, but they just fell in love with his little personality, and he's living somewhere in South Florida on a very nice lot of land and house and a mansion in a very nice HOA area. But they said people probably wouldn't notice where the rooster crowing was coming from. They probably had a really nice lot size. And so he's living out his days. To my knowledge, the last text we received, he's still alive and well down there, just enjoying life in South Florida. Good for him, right? So let's go on. June 30th, we had pineapple harvest. We had quite a few pineapples, and I learned how to can pineapples for the very first time. Also, in July, we went through round 2 of canning. I did, like I just mentioned, the pineapples. I learned how to can Seminole pumpkins, and we had over here in this garden, once the spring things had gone away, I threw in some Zucchini rapicante seed, and man, I think I only had 3 plants survive out of the whole row, and they just took over the entire 250 square foot garden area. I ended up with a 4-pound zucchini, and or it's curved squash zucchini, and it's Italian variety, and I canned that thing up. That was really nice. We ate a lot of it. We gave some of that away too, actually, to a friend. I did some seedlings, and they got drowned out, and I rotted the seed inside there, so that was a bit of a failure. I did put some amaranth out, but we had so many rain and wind. That's this going to the peak of August, where our hurricanes are just one after another. We call them rapid fire off of the Atlantic and off of Africa. And a lot of the amaranth and the sunflowers I had got turned over, and so I just gave up on them. Let's see, August is a lot of rest, like I said, or, I slowly turn over what's dead, what hasn't been picked up. September, I did a lot of seedling do-over about the 3rd week of September. I had some failures. I did plant direct sow some seed in the south garden, or it was originally called the rainbow garden. But we did away with the rainbow and we put just straight rows because that was a lot easier than dragging the hose over the baby plants. So that was a big failure because it was still way too hot. The bugs were out and pretty much they ate up all my seedlings and just didn't work. So to kind of combat that depression, that gloom and doom, I went ahead and started setting up my fall display in the end of September, and then October, you know, we went full on with a lot more stuff in there. Also, the end of September, we had Roselle starting to put on its little red calyxes. I have a wonderful Roselle video, and I'll put it right up here right now, and you'll get to see how we harvest and how we clean them and dehydrate it for tea. And then there's a part 2 video how I made it for jam. So be sure to check those out up here. September 22nd, my tomatoes went in over here, and that was really wonderful. Everything went well. We put a little blood meal and bone meal in there, and they just took off. And as you can see in the last few videos, they're 6 feet, 7 feet high. I also got 3 fall pineapples this year. That was a first for me. Something really cool. I've never had fall pineapples, but as of December 30th, I have one that looks like it's ready to be pulled. In October, I was adamant about getting irrigation in, and so I have 4 main areas of irrigation. And I finally got the drip lines that I ordered like a month or 2 before that. I finally got the drip lines in over here. I wasn't sweating like crazy. I have 2 spigots up there in the front, and that made life so much easier. We're just doing 2 knobs on, 2 knobs off. I also hit my 300 subscribers in October, and I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed and hit the subscribe button and rang the bell. I see some of you are really quick as soon as I put a video out. Thank you very much. And it was also the same day that I got my first Barbados cherry off the tree. Yay! And also, probably within a week later, I realized I had miracle fruit out there for the first time ever, so that's great. I trimmed my dwarf everbearing mulberry tree, and wow, I mean, it came back in November with gobs of fruit. I ended up making about 3 harvests off the tree, and was able to eat breakfast with them. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to spring because I think we're just going to load up those trees. I'm just hoping they're going to fruit a lot. They should. Let's see. And the blackberries. I got my first handful or so of fall blackberries. I may have had 2 in the spring, but I got more, well, probably more than a handful. So that was great. And so I'm really expecting a great harvest in 2021. I did lots and lots of chores in October. I did everything I could to try to recapture ground that the weeds had taken over and garden space. And that's why I don't love it probably any more than you do, seeing all the black ground fabric everywhere. But it's just like a jungle here if I don't do something about it. And that was my way of coping with all the weeds, is just covering them up and letting them die. And not starting from scratch again, because that was really hard. That's very hard on me, especially with all this heat. And that'll wear your back out if you're a little bit older like me gardening. All right, so let's go to November. November, I had the grapevines in the ground, and probably a month or 2. And the papaya, I got that in July. So I went ahead and fertilized all that again. Just want to make sure I take advantage of the last little bit of the rainy season. That usually ends about the 3rd week of October here on our coast. And so, you know, we got a few more good rain showers in. I fertilized with 10-10-10 on all the grapevines during that week. We got a visit from Tropical Storm Eta. She left some limbs down, just like we got limbs down in March through May. I reseeded. Oh, I finally tackled the south garden again, which used to be the rainbow garden. And we started from scratch. I just lost so much, but I did it. I did it. That was mentally the hardest challenge for me to do in all of 2020, was to go back through, figure out what was germinated and what didn't, and just get through that garden and reseed. And when we do our first garden tour of 2021, you will see that it's actually going to be a pretty full garden. All right, here we go. December. I have my first papaya out there. I am just thrilled. I don't even know that I love papaya, but I'm just so excited to have something so tropical out there. And I'm really hoping homegrown papaya is going to taste so delicious. And I would love to try other varieties. If you know a better variety, tell me, and I'll be searching for them. Right now I have the Caribbean Red out there, which is will self-pollinate. That's a lovely thing. Let's see, also the robins arrived. I hope you saw that video. That was fantastic. I love when I still hear them once in a while come around, but they might have gone further south since we had a near freeze last week, so I haven't seen them this past week or so. But I just love it when the robins show up here, probably because I'm a robin also. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, to me, I love them because they represent spring. And even though they came in the winter here, I just always associate them with spring because I was actually a northern baby. I grew up around the Buffalo area and Niagara Falls area, and so robins were my favorite bird. I wonder why. Oh yes, in December I resowed a lot of the winter brassicas. You guys haven't seen it yet, but I will take you out there and you'll see the new babies. They're about 2 inches high now, and they are looking fabulous. The holiday decorating, yeah, I finally got that done. Like, I started early and then I had a lull. I had some photography work to do, but then I finished strong, and we got like probably 1,000 lights out at one time on one day, and we got the tree up. And then I spent the one day entirely on the inside of the house, and it looked like a Christmas bomb went off. Oh, that's a terrible analogy. Let's not use that. Strike that. Anyhow, it was wonderful. What are my New Year's resolutions for this coming 2021 gardening season? Well, of course, I'd like to grow more. Doesn't everybody want to grow more? But this year, I think I can do it better with irrigation in the 4 main plots. I might even, if I feel really challenged, I might try to get some irrigation going out into the trellis garden area, although that is more like a permaculture food forest area. And so I'm trying to get things that don't need irrigation over there. But still, I would like to do that. That's a resolution for me. I would like to keep defining borders and having certain areas just grass cutting areas and then areas growing areas. I think that would help me as I continue, because right now it's like other people can't help me cutting grass over here because they don't know what to touch and what not to touch. So I think if I make that more definitive, that'll just help with having help out here. Does that make sense? That would help with having help out here from family members, because then they would be sure what to touch and what not to touch. My other 2021 goal is to get the coop finally over here. I think we're going to do it. We're going to make it work in January. And I can't wait to be able to do that. And then get that coop down. Because once that goes down, then in the spring, I can let all that grass go over that. It's probably like the best fertilized soil you'll ever see where the chickens were. And then I can have full sun on the house garden. And that'll be fantastic. I think things will grow so much better over there once that 2-story coop that's now dilapidated is gone. All right, and I would like to finally in 2021 see mushroom compost again, because we haven't seen it since March in our area. Pretty much all of it comes from Orlando, and then it comes out here to my county, and we have not had access to any compost since March. It's been really sad. And that's why you see me a lot of times now fertilizing with bags of fertilizer. I never had to do that before. Another thing I'd like to focus on in 2021 is flowers, food, and getting everything to flourish. Now that I have things established, I want them to flourish and do the best that they can. I would love to start some more babies. I think, hold on. In 2021, we're going to start using these 162 cell seed trays, and they're made of really durable plastic. I got this from Haas Tools. This is a little Christmas gift you saw that was at the door. I bought it for myself. And then my husband went out and blessed me with a Christmas gift. We said no gifts, and he bought me a tiller. So we'll make an episode on that in the future. But anyhow, 162 cells. And I have lots of tomatoes and lots of peppers that are going to go into these. I'm very excited to start early with tomatoes and peppers, probably this coming week. So let's do that, right? That's 2021. And then I'm thinking by the end of February, these will be big enough to come out here and transplant. And we'll get those going in one of the gardens. I hope I'll have some space. Gee, I don't know that I'm going to have space, but we'll make space somewhere for tomatoes and peppers. I'm thinking by March we'll have plenty of space for the peppers. That's really when I want to transplant peppers. So anyhow, thank you if you stayed with me. I think this is going to be a rather long video. I'm sorry for that. But I wanted to go through the year, do a year review, and just remember where we came from and where we're going to go. Thank you. Take care. God bless. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2021 next. Bye.